She is one of Donald Trump's closest confidants.
She has a great way of being able to talk to him. He trusts her.
My father, his most powerful protector.
There's no way I could be the person I am today if my father was a sexist.
And an influential advisor.
The moments that she speaks, he really listens.
What do you think your father values the most about Ivanka?
Loyalty.
She's an ambitious entrepreneur, a mother, and master of her brand. Poised, polished, and prepared.
She is hell on wheels, totally focused and a great poker player.
And now, she could become the most influential first daughter in American history.
I don't sense from Ivanka it's about power, it's about impact.
Tonight, first daughter, Ivanka Trump. When Donald Trump began his campaign for the presidency,
ladies and gentlemen, a man who I have loved and respected my entire life, my father, Donald J. Trump.
It was his daughter Ivanka who introduced him. From the campaign trail,
He is not politically correct.
to the Republican National Convention,
This is the moment, and Donald Trump is the person to make America great again.
to his transition to the White House. She's been at the center of his inner circle. I've heard that Ivanka's phone call is the phone call Donald Trump always takes.
Indeed, I've witnessed that.
Kellyanne Conway was Trump's campaign manager and will be counselor to the president.
It's very clear they have a very special relationship that on its own is impenetrable.
You find that the moments that she speaks, he really listens.
Tom Barrack has been a close friend of the Trump family for years and is running the inauguration.
She's a special voice because, of course, she has no agenda. She has no skin in the game other than, I'm giving you my point of view because I love you, Dad, and I want you to be successful, and you need to listen to me.
Part of the reason that he respects me and we have a great professional relationship in addition to a personal relationship is because I'm incredibly candid with my opinions and I share them, solicited or otherwise.
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Even during some of his most controversial moments on the campaign trail, as she told me last July. Your father has said that you and Melania have wanted him to be more presidential, is the word that he uses. Do you believe that the nicknames he used for some people or the name calling was a mistake? Is that what you're talking about when you say more presidential?
Well, once in a while he'll say things and I'll tell him he could probably do with ratcheting it back.
And he listens?
Sometimes. And sometimes he doesn't. Or sometimes he listens for limited periods of times.
Ivanka has had an office just one floor below her father's in Trump Tower, where she spent a lot of time as a little girl.
I'd go to his office and I'd hang out and I'd play at his knee while he was on the phone or conducted meetings, and I'd walk construction jobs with him on the weekends.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I was definitely the only kindergartner who had been on a tractor. So it was, you know, it was just part of how he raised us.
Being raised the daughter of Donald Trump looked a little different.
He wasn't always physically present, but he was always available. There was a payphone at school, and on recess, I'd go there and I'd call collect to his office. I was probably, 10 years old.
You'd say, hi, this is Ivanka.
Calling collect from the Chapin School. And he'd put me on speakerphone, but it didn't matter who was there. It was colleagues, it was titans of industry, it was heads of countries. He'd always take my call.
High above the office, the penthouse was home.
This was my bed. It's a little small for me now.
Ivanka gave a tour of her childhood bedroom in the documentary Born Rich.
It's a little time capsule. If you notice by the Madonna clock, the homage to Poison and Motley Crue.
And what floor are we on?
We are on the 68th floor. Not a bad view to wake up to.
And not a bad place to play as a kid, unless...
She managed to kick a beach ball into a chandelier that just blew up and got destroyed. And so, you know, my mother was, you know, pretty tough Eastern European disciplinary type. And so when she got home and saw the chandelier shattered on the floor, she went up to Ivanka, "What happened here?" And rather than fessing up, she goes, "It was done. It was all done."
When Ivanka was young, her parents divorced. And their personal drama headlined the New York tabloids.
The divorce being so public really added another element for me as a young child, just because my friends knew about it. Then you're reading things and you don't know what's true and what's not true.
I read this story about you that when you heard about it, you asked your mom whether you were still going to be Ivanka Trump. Is that a true story?
Yeah, you know, I think I was digesting things and trying to understand, as, you know, a 10 or 11-year-old would, the implications to me and my life and my relationship with my parents individually and collectively.
When her father married Marla Maples, Ivanka and her brothers chose to vacation in Aspen with their mother. You and your brothers decided not to go to the wedding, and you stayed in Aspen.
Well, going to Aspen was a tradition and was something that we had done our whole lives. And it was something that was very important to my mother, and it was a memory that we wanted to have again, and we wanted to have with her, especially at that time.
After the divorce, the children lived with their mother, but their father remained a strong influence.
When it came to work, that was something he always pushed at a very young age. If we wanted something, we had to earn it. It wasn't just, you know, go clean your room and you get whatever it was that you wanted.
We don't really have the option not to work hard. He wouldn't like that. It wouldn't be okay with him. He's not very sort of laissez-faire in the ideas of, well, sort of let them run free and, you know, spoil them and hopefully they'll turn out right.
Their mother, Ivana, was just as tough as their father.
We'd travel overseas with her, and, you know, she'd be maybe in first class and we'd be in coach, and, you know, it was kind of her way to try and avoid spoiling children that might have otherwise, by any other standard, been spoiled.
I see a lot of Ivana and Ivanka. Ivana was an athlete. She was determined. She was committed. She was focused. She had integrity. She had unbelievable perseverance. She was always prepared.
They were not only taught to work hard, they had to win.
Donald would hit their ski poles out from his own children in order to beat them down the mountain.
Emily Jane Fox is a writer for Vanity Fair and a CNN contributor.
It was, I'm going to beat my own children because winning matters that much. If that is the model that you grow up with, you're growing up with a win-at-all-costs attitude for sure.
Coming up, Ivanka meets her match. Did she fall for him?
I think she knew right away.
It was 2007. Ivanka Trump had just met Jared Kushner.
She called me up and she said, I met a guy. We're going to a party, get dressed. So
Maggie Cordish has been a close friend of Ivanka's for nearly 20 years.
And there was a clear connection, I know, just, it was very obvious. I mean, sort of the rest of the party dropped away and they were very focused on each other. And
did she fall for him?
She fell for him. I think she knew right away.
When it was time to introduce Jared to her father, Ivanka was nervous.
I was too smart to bring home a date or a boyfriend.
It was a little intimidating.
I was not going to subject boyfriends to the scrutiny of my father, or mother for that matter, unless I was 100% sure.
With Jared, Ivanka was 100% sure.
I remember spying on the lunch that my husband and my father had in Trump Tower.
How did you spy on it?
I was hiding around columns. There were tremendous amounts of hand gestures. I didn't know if this was good or bad. I was, you know, obviously when you love somebody so much, you hope that the people in your lives that you love one another. So.
Do you remember that?
High stakes.
I do remember. Very happy with Jared. He's been fantastic.
In Jared, Ivanka found a natural connection. They both grew up heirs to real estate empires, run by powerful and controversial fathers, and both were executives in their family businesses.
They really create a force to be reckoned with, and they spend a lot of time thinking, strategizing, planning. They really feed off each other. Their personalities truly feed off each other.
Ivanka and Jared married in 2009 at Trump National Golf Club in New Jersey. Ivanka converted to Judaism, practicing in the Orthodox Jewish traditions that Jared grew up with and observes.
It was, something that meant a lot for her, but I think it also shows how seriously she took, the relationship with Jared, and that was something that was, obviously a very big deal for him.
In March 2016, and in the middle of her father's presidential campaign, Ivanka and Jared welcomed their third child, Theodore James, brother to Arabella and Joseph.
She's a wonderful mother. She's fierce and devoted. She is up with them early every single morning, giving them breakfast and being with them, and then, putting them to bed.
For myself, as the father of 5 young kids, it's really difficult. I mean, it's really difficult work-wise. It was even more difficult on a campaign where information every 5 minutes, it's an up and down cycle, right?
And how does she do that?
Honestly, I think, the conversion to Judaism was a big part of it because, observing the Sabbath, I think from Friday night to Saturday night, it's, there's no phones, there's no computers. And I think that was actually probably very helpful.
Motherhood was part of what inspired Ivanka to launch a lifestyle brand aimed at empowering women. Its mission, the company says, is to inspire women to create the lives they want to live.
I want my daughter, Arabella, to grow up thinking that the phrase working woman sounds as odd and superficial and forced as the phrase working man.
She launched a portion of her website dedicated to many kinds of tips that you can give working women, whether that's, what do I wear to work in winter? How should I ask for a raise?
The brand includes Ivanka Trump apparel, handbags, shoes, and accessories. And when she wasn't running her own business, she was an executive vice president at the Trump Organization.
I actually knew from when I was a little girl that I wanted to go into real estate. I went to Wharton. I majored in real estate and finance. I knew that real estate was what I wanted to do.
But her father actually encouraged her to consider a different career direction.
He'd say, are you sure you don't want to try this? Are you sure you don't want to try that? He always said to us, you have to do what you love, and you'll never succeed. You'll never be able to compete at the highest level if you don't deeply love what it is that you do.
What was she like when she was a young, working, career woman just out of college?
She was serious. She was driven. We were at a girls' weekend, and I woke up, and she was just gone. She had slipped out to go to New Jersey with her father to look at some job site. Quintessential Ivanka. I mean, that's where her focus was, and that's where her attention was.
She joined her father as a co-host on The Apprentice.
What exactly did he say to you?
Wait, Ivanka, wait.
And was negotiating his most important deals, like the Doral Golf Resort in Miami and the old post office in Washington, D.C.
She is hell on wheels. No emotion, but totally focused and a great poker player.
Very different from her father and very much her own woman.
She's an excellent businesswoman. She is the real deal.
Michael Ashner is a real estate executive who sold the Doral property to the Trumps and negotiated the deal with Ivanka.
Real estate people can be very volatile, and at every moment, she brought the tension down. She would identify what the issue is, how do we talk about it. It was superb. It was really controlling the room.
Ivanka and I worked very, very closely on it, and you have different people who are really good at certain elements of the deal, and Ivanka went in, she found the deal, and she worked her heart out, and she got the deal closed.
Coming up, closing deals in the White House. What do you think your father values the most about Ivanka?
Loyalty.
It was 2016, midday in a conference room in Trump Tower.
We were having lunch on an entirely different topic before I joined the campaign.
Ivanka and Jared were meeting with Kellyanne Conway when Jared asked her, what makes a good vice president?
And I said to him, you know, Jared, the last couple of Republicans have chosen someone they thought would really excite the base. And I pointed that his father-in-law was beyond the glass in the atrium, and I said, this year we have all the excitement we need. We have all the excitement we need right there.
As the convention approached, the list was down to 3 names. 2 outspoken candidates and the more reserved Mike Pence.
And so I think Ivanka Trump was in a very unique position to give her father a voice in choosing a vice presidential running mate, because she knows what Donald Trump expects and how he works best with what types of leaders and support system around him.
When her father was torn between candidates, Ivanka, Jared, and her brothers arranged to take a last-minute flight to Indiana to be by their father's side at a breakfast with Mike Pence. Soon after, Pence got the nod, and days later, Trump himself accepted the Republican nomination.
As president, my father will take on the bold and worthy fights. He will be unafraid to set lofty goals, and he will be relentless in his determination to achieve them.
Thank you all so much. Ivanka became one of her father's strongest advocates, but it wasn't always easy. Trump's rough edges can conflict with his daughter's carefully curated brand. So Ivanka steered clear of policy, except when it involved her agenda.
Safe, affordable, high-quality childcare should not be the luxury of a fortunate few.
Like childcare, paid maternity leave, and equal pay.
And these are things that she's been fighting for a very, very long time.
We needed to change the dialogue.
She's created an entire business really surrounding that, women that work, that empowerment movement.
And when we spoke in July, she defended her father against criticism over his treatment of women.
He's absolutely not a sexist. There's no way I could be the person I am today if my father was a sexist. I would not be one of his senior-most executives, and I would not be working shoulder to shoulder with my brothers. I would be working for my brothers, if at all.
Oftentimes you would hear people say, if Ivanka came from Donald, he must have done something right. Ivanka was really just a spoonful of sugar for the Trump campaign. She was successful and talented and bright and really brought out what would be the best in Donald Trump.
Do you think she'd also become part of his political antenna, in a way?
Yes, in my view, Ivanka Trump is, has, and will continue to be part of her father's political antenna. In Washington, D.C., they'll say, all right, who's affected here? Who do we owe something to? What special interest has lobbied us? But I find Ivanka to be somebody who's much more inclusive in her thinking. She is somebody who says, well, who's not included in the messaging, and will they in fact feel excluded?
Ivanka has brought unexpected visitors to Trump Tower, like climate change activists Leonardo DiCaprio and former Vice President Al Gore.
She brings a certain, not just balance and equilibrium, but also a certain non-hyper-partisan perspective.
She's independent?
She's an independent who thinks very passionately about the issues.
Ivanka's husband, Jared, became one of Trump's closest confidants and political advisors during the campaign, leading to his appointment as senior advisor in the White House.
He calls it down the middle. He's always been a straight shooter. He's always been incredibly pragmatic. He's effective. He's really become one of the main voices in our father's life.
He knows how to speak to my father. I think he knows how to get his point across very effectively.
Tell us how the transition is going.
He became what was really needed, which was a buffer between new people coming into Donald's life who had a program, a plan, or a project, some of which worked and some of which didn't work. The old people in his life who were loyalists but maybe didn't have those tools in their toolkit.
While Jared is taking a coveted spot inside the West Wing, Ivanka has decided not to take an office there, at least not yet. Instead, she's working on a child care proposal behind the scenes and getting her family settled in the Tony Kalorama neighborhood in Washington. How will she be most helpful? If you were to kind of say, this is the way I think Ivanka would most help Donald Trump.
I think there's the Donald Trump that I know, as a son, And so I think if she can sort of show some of the softer side of him and be able to bridge some of those gaps, I think it could go a long way towards his efficacy in getting things that he wants done.
Though she's stepping away from the Trump organization and her own brand, Ivanka will likely face constant questions about her possible conflicts of interest, like marketing the dress she wore at the Republican convention.
Well, I think that idea of conflict of interest is going to hound her. And if she meets with somebody who runs one of the Trump hotels after that same day she was in the White House, people are going to say it's a conflict. That's going to happen. The key to the Trump enterprise is they don't think in terms per se of conflict of interest. They think of legal and illegal. They think of winning and losing.
With her father winning the White House, Ivanka Trump is on target to become the most influential first daughter ever.
Ivanka Trump certainly is, at 35, she's, and as a successful businesswoman twice in real estate and development, and certainly in her own brand. I think she'd be very powerful. But again, I don't sense from Ivanka it's about power, it's about impact.
And it's about the family, protecting and enhancing the newest brand, the Trump presidency.
You value family, especially in that world. I think, for years we had always heard, real estate's one of the most cutthroat industries in the world. Nothing compared to politics. It's nothing compared to politics. And then I think when you go through that and you live through it, I think, quite frankly, you become closer to family than ever before. They're the closest people in your life. They're the people who will look out for you when others might have conflicting interests. And that's very, very special. And I think we all lend that in some certain way. And Ivanka will lend that in a very big way.
She has a great way of being able to talk to him. He trusts her. She's proven herself time and time again in business, and whatever she decides to do in Washington, if there is a role for her.
Who introduced him. From the campaign trail,
he is not politically correct.
To the Republican National Convention.
This is the moment, and Donald Trump is the person to make America great again.
To his transition to the White House, she's been at the center of his inner circle. I've heard that Ivanka's phone call is the phone call Donald Trump always takes.
Indeed, I've witnessed that.
Kellyanne Conway. She is one of Donald Trump's closest confidants.
She has a great way of being able to talk to him. He trusts her.
My father,
his most powerful protector.
There's no way I could be the person I am today if my father was a sexist.
And an influential advisor.
The moments that she speaks, he really listens.
What do you think your father values the most about Ivanka?
Loyalty.
She's an ambitious entrepreneur, a mother, and master of her brand. Poised, polished, and prepared.
Professional relationship, in addition to a personal relationship, is because I'm incredibly candid with my opinions, and I share them, solicited or otherwise.
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Even during some of his most controversial moments on the campaign trail. As she told me last July. Your father has said that you and Melania have wanted him to be more presidential, is the word that he uses. Do you believe that the nicknames he used for some people or the name calling was a mistake? Is that what you're talking about when you say more presidential?
Well, once in a while he'll say things, and I'll tell him he could probably do with...
He was Trump's campaign manager and will be counselor to the president.
It's very clear they have a very special relationship that on its own is impenetrable.
You find that the moments that she speaks, he really listens.
Tom Barrack has been a close friend of the Trump family for years and is running the inauguration.
She's a special voice because, of course, she has no agenda. She has no skin in the game other than, I'm giving you my point of view because I love you, Dad, and I want you to be successful, and you need to listen to me.
Part of the reason that he respects me and we have a great
He is hell on wheels, totally focused and a great poker player.
And now, she could become the most influential first daughter in American history.
I don't sense from Ivanka it's about power, it's about impact.
Tonight, first daughter, Ivanka Trump. When Donald Trump began his campaign for the presidency,
ladies and gentlemen, a man who I have loved and respected my entire life, my father, Donald J. Trump.
It was his daughter Ivanka